Frederico the Mouse Violinist by Mayra Calvani. Illustrations by Snider. Frederico the Mouse Violinist. Frederico was a little mouse with a big name, Frederico. He lived in Cremona, Italy, in the workshop of a famous violin maker named Antonio Stradivari. During the day, from the tool shelf, he peeked at the luthier making his celebrated Stradivarius violins. The mouse sighed with longing. His pink nose twitched at the strong smell of wood and varnish, the oil used to make the violins glossy. During the night when all was quiet and the luthier had retired to sleep, Frederico sneaked out and explored the workshop and its wonders. He jumped up by the scroll, hop, and admired its fine beauty, its shape carved like a rolled-up sheet of parchment. He turned a peg or two to tune the violin and make sure the sound came out right. Frederico had learned that if he tightened a peg, the pitch was higher, and that if he loosened it, the pitch was lower. Sometimes he walked on a string, balancing himself like an acrobat. Then swoosh, he slid down the fingerboard. And bump, tripped on the bridge. Curious, Frederico peeked into the F-hole and looked inside the violin. "This is the secret magical place where the sound comes out," he squeaked. Then he scrambled down the tailpiece and lay down, dreaming about owning his own Stradivarius violin and becoming a virtuoso. Frederico would have loved to play the violin, but he had never dared before. Quivering with excitement, he dragged the bow onto the strings and played a few notes. But since he was so little and the violin and bow so big, playing was an almost impossible task. From that day on, he practiced night after night. One night, Frederico was having so much fun playing the violin that he didn't notice Stradivari watching from the door. The luthier was astonished to see a mouse play so skillfully. For the next 2 days, Frederico watched as Stradivari worked on a mysterious device. It was so small, it lay hidden in Stradivari's large hands as he worked. Not even from the top of the music stand could Frederico see what it was. At night, before retiring to sleep, Stradivari hid the strange gadget inside a small black box. As soon as the luthier left the workshop, Frederico scampered across the table and tried to pry it open with his tiny paws. But the box was locked with a key. He thought about gnawing the box with his sharp teeth, but he respected Stradivari too much to damage his property. The next evening, after a few final touches, Stradivari put his mysterious secret creation inside the black box. This time, however, he didn't lock it. He also wrote a letter and placed it on the box. Then, smiling, he left the workshop. As soon as the luthier went to sleep, Frederico sprinted up the table. When he saw the letter, he stopped, surprised. "Dear Mouse Violinist, I hope my gift will help you pursue your dreams. Yours truly, Antonio Stradivari." Frederico opened the box. Inside it was a little violin case. With shaky paws and a thudding heart, Frederico opened it. Inside the case was the tiniest violin he had ever seen, a Stradivarius violin made by Stradivari himself. But best of all, its size was perfect for Frederico. Frederico lifted the instrument and began to play. The notes swirled about him in a cloud of pure joy as Frederico moved the bow over the strings. He closed his eyes and swayed like a famous violinist on stage. From the door, Stradivari watched, pleased that he had made yet another violinist, the happiest violinist on earth. The end. Who was Antonio Stradivari? Antonio Stradivari was a famous Italian luthier, or violin maker, who lived in Cremona, Italy from 1644 to 1737. Stradivari not only made violins, but also cellos, violas, guitars, and even harps. A violin made by Stradivari is called a Stradivarius, or a Strad. Stradivarius violins are the most famous in the world. Because of their beautiful sound, and because these violins are considered the finest ever crafted, they are worth millions of dollars. Let's match the parts of the violin to their names. Scroll. Peg. Fingerboard. F-hole. Bridge. Tailpiece.